All right. So, in the other main event of the weekend, switching over to Bellator, we had a clash for the interim welterweight title over in London. Originally, we were supposed to see MVP getting his title shot against Yaroslav Amosov. Obviously, he is off being the good Ukrainian that he is, defending his country right now. So you have Logan Storley stepped in. An interim belt was created, and a fight that was not the greatest fight we've ever seen occurred. What'd you think of it?
It gave me vibes of that Paul Daly fight where like we were just about to
The
watch
MVP
MVP.
Daily one?
Yeah, we were about to watch basically MVP be on the ground for a majority of the fight. The thing that I got, the thing that I was annoyed at by the end of that fight was the lack of action from Storley. All the control in the world, no actual doing anything with it. I would argue, and I'm probably going to argue, that MVP did more work, even from the bottom, than Storley did from the top.
Yep.
It's not the first time we've seen somebody on the bottom win a decision that way, especially when the person on top is literally holding them and doing nothing else. So I was glad to see that one judge did give MVP 3 rounds to 2. I understand why some of the other judges gave them 4 rounds to 1, but and it might be a bias on my side just because it's not even the ground game that I'm annoyed at. It's more the lack of fight that really was in there from Logan Storley, I feel like, on the ground. And it
Yeah.
just felt like Page had a lot more intensity, a lot more, even from the bottom, drive to finish the fight. And so I had him edging out a couple of rounds or a few rounds that I think other people probably gave to Storley just based on the fact that he was on top. And I
Yeah.
think at some point, top control without any actual damage or intent to finish, when you're getting countered from the guy on the bottom, when the guy on the bottom is actually throwing things and trying to damage you and things like that, that does need to be taken into consideration. So I did have round 1 for MVP. I think it was round 4,
Probably three
3,
and four. I'm
3.
guessing
Hey, let me find out. Hang on a second.
because
I wrote it down
I
because
had 3 and 4 for him.
I couldn't deal. It was such an annoying fight that I had to write it down because I didn't remember exactly which ones I had for him and which ones I didn't. Yeah, 1, 3, or 4. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean the fight stunk. It's really hard to make a Michael Venom Page fight that boring, but Logan Storley certainly succeeded. And honestly, that fight illustrated like one of the biggest problems that we have in MMA right now, which is, and unfortunately, I don't have a great idea of how to fix it. And MMA has a lot of problems, but this one of being able to control a guy and win without even necessarily engaging in a fight is a big one. Like something has to change in the way we score or in what we allow because Logan Storley, like I get it that he's the better wrestler, and it's very easy to say like, "Hey, MVP should be able to get up," and then we wouldn't be having this conversation. And I even said that myself. I fully get that, and MVP gets that as well. You can tell from interviews that he's done since that he fully understands he needs to improve that aspect of his game. But at the same time, the job of MMA promotions is to put on fights. And when you have a guy who is the superior wrestler or grappler come into a fight and say, all right, I'm going to use my wrestling to nullify my opponent for as long as I possibly can, but not actually look to hurt my opponent or land strikes or submit him. I'm just going to try to keep him stuck so that he can't do anything to me. That's a problem. That's avoiding a fight, which is not what you want to have as something that can also get you a victory. You don't want the guy avoiding a fight to be able to say, oh, yeah, and then I won the fight, you know? So it's something that Pride would have carded you for and would have never let fly. So as much as I agree that MVP needs to work on his get-ups, and I credit Storley, I guess, for controlling him the way he did, I just strongly feel like you shouldn't be able to intentionally make it so that a fight doesn't occur. And that's really what he did. He just said, I'm going to grab onto him. I'm going to hold him as long as I possibly can. I'm going to go back to my stool, and I'm going to try the same thing next round, and hopefully all 25 minutes disappear before anything else happens. So, I don't have a great idea. I don't know how you fix it. Like you said, there was no damage from Storley. Any damage at all was done in that fight by MVP. I agree with you. I don't hate one judge giving him the fight. I thought he won rounds 3 and 4. I thought Storley won 2 and 5. One was close. I'm totally fine with it going to MVP. Gun to my head, I think maybe I would have given Storley 1, but I'm torn. But it was just a shitty fight all around. Not great for Bellator. Coker obviously was not happy.
And it's very hard to get Coker annoyed. Coker doesn't usually get annoyed very often.
For sure. But MVP back to the drawing board, and Storley's our interim champion. But do you have any great ideas on what to implement that somehow prevents this?
Bring back yellow cards.
Yellow card. That's what I was going to say.
Dude, I've been saying it for years. Bring back yellow cards and bring back red cards. You need to start implementing stalling. Stalling needs to be eliminated, period. And we're not talking about moments where, a guy takes a guy down and he's sort of beating on him a little bit to kind of catch his breath for a minute. I'm okay with that. I understand that. I'm not a monster. I'm not a monster. I get it, right? But what's not okay is somebody just literally just face down on his chest, holding him, forward pressure for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. We can't do this. Especially when you're talking about, and Mark kind of touched on it. I guess a fight's a fight. They can't really think about that in the moment. But there does need to be something said for the fact that some people are going to end up paying money to watch some of these fights. Good money. They don't want to watch you just lay on somebody. You know what I mean? If Storley was looking for any kind of submission, a key lock, a choke of some kind, a leg lock, something, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. We'd be praising Storley for his ability to continue to fight, for his ability to keep MVP off of his game, on the ground controlled, looking for submissions, being threatening the entire time. But instead, we're here trying to figure out who wins the fight because you got Storley on top controlling while MVP is trying to beat his ass from the bottom. And it's a very difficult position to be put in because technically in the rules, one would argue that damage is the most important thing in a fight over control.
It is. It's ranked significantly higher in scoring a fight if you literally look up the scoring.
Yeah. But and when you look at the 3 criteria, right? The damage, the octagon control, and I forget, what was the other one?
Effective striking.
Effective striking. So when you look at all those, none of them are actually top control. Not one of them is. And so kind of it makes you wonder, where did this idea of top control just winning the fight solo come from? Because that really shouldn't be the criteria. It should be a combination of, damage, the control, the octagon control, and then, effective striking. And that also comes from the bottom as well.
Yeah, if MVP would have landed 5 more punches in each round, he might have won every round of the fight. He just wasn't doing much either, which is the only reason it ended up close like this.
Yeah.
He was not landing much either. So it's you were dying to score for him, but in some of the rounds he just didn't give you anything either because he was just so focused on trying to get unstuck and he couldn't get unstuck,
Yeah.
So it was a weird fight.
He went through the entire fight. You got to give him credit, though. Most people would have been demoralized, wouldn't have been able to do shit at all. But, he went through a lot of adversity, still did, more than I think most people who've gone up against Storley have been able to do in the first place.
Yeah, he had a big round 4. For a minute there in round 4, I was like, oh, shit, things might happen here.
Yeah.
He started doing the dribbling between his legs. He was getting into a groove.
Yeah, and then, right back down.
Yeah. All right, well, we know for Storley, now that he is the interim champ, that I guess it's going to go one of 2 ways. I don't know how long Amosov is going to be out of action. Obviously, if he is coming back in the near future, they're going to unify those belts. If not, I got to assume that considering MVP just got turned back, the winner of Douglas Lima and Jason Jackson on July 8th, I want to say it is very likely just going to end up getting a shot at the interim belt while Amasov is away and fighting Logan Storley. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that one, but if not, I'm curious what you think they should do with Paige here.
I mean, I don't want Paige to go too far back because at the end of the day, it wasn't a great performance from either one of them. I guess at this point, if you give whoever the winner is of Douglas Lima and Jason Jackson, the winner would get Storley. Maybe the loser gets Paige. And then,
I thought about it. Is it too soon to do the Lima trilogy?
That's what I was wondering.
I guess
it would work out better for everybody if Douglas Lima won that fight because then he can go to Storley and we can get Jason Jackson for Michael Page.
Yeah. The only other thought. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. That's all I had.
The only other thought I had was that I don't think it's been made clear. At least I haven't heard it. Why Andrei Koreshkov pulled out of that Paul Daly fight. But if he's fine and he's like back in the near future, that feels like a fight that should have happened by now. Like I would love to see Paige and Koreshkov stand across from each other. That feels like a banger. So I would sign up for that one too.
Yeah, for sure. That's interesting that they didn't say what exactly happened to him while he pulled out of that fight.
I tried to look it up when it happened, and everyone was just kind of like, "Oh, he's out." Like it didn't even. Sometimes it gives you the undisclosed reasons. It wasn't even saying that. It was just like, "Yeah, he had to pull out." It's like, all right, so that's all we got. Just called him up. Sorry, guys, I got to pull out.
I guess, yeah. All right.
But yeah, that'd be a cool one.
Yeah.
All right, let's